Luke here with Simple Life Pattern Company. Today we're going to go over how to install a zipper into a lined bodice. The construction for installing a zipper into a lined tank top bodice is a little different than installing a zipper into a lined bodice with sleeves. In this video we're going to go over both ways. We are also featuring the Hazel pattern in this video. If you want to head over to our website and view all of our patterns, you can at www.thesimplelifecompany.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Simple Life Patterns. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to install a zipper into a lined bodice that will have sleeves. As you can see, I've already constructed my bodice by sewing the shoulder seams and the side seams. I've finished the edges of my center back skirt pieces, gathered my skirt and attached it to the main fabric, or the main bodice fabric. I also have my lining here, which I'm going to be using this light blue for the lining. We will do this later. This is going to be very similar to the other version with a few things changed.
If you're doing the tank top version, you'll notice we have already lined our bodice like we normally would, with a few exceptions. We have also already serged the center back seams of our skirt pieces before attaching them to the main bodice fabric. We did not attach them to the main and the lining, just so you know. Our center back of the bodice will encase the zipper between the main and lining fabrics, making it more comfortable to wear. I have also pressed up the bodice lining hem 1/4 of an inch to make it easier for future construction. On the back, we didn't sew the last 1 inch or so on each side for the zipper to be sewn into that area. Now you can see the starting point for the sleeve version and the tank top version. The construction is fairly similar. The finishing touches is where it is a little different, but for now, both versions will start with zipper placement.
We will go ahead and start by taking our zipper and figuring out our placement. I know I want the zipper pull to be slightly under where my seam allowance will be, so right about there. I'm going to go ahead and kind of mark or measure this down all the way to my zipper stop. Right here is where my zipper stop is, so I need to go ahead and mark that, and I only want to mark maybe like 1/8 of an inch below that. So go ahead and do that. Once you have your mark, we will go ahead and fold our skirt pieces right sides together and pin up from the bottom of the skirt to your mark. You do not want to sew past your mark, you want to sew right up to it. But before I do anything, I want to make sure that where these are leading, that my bodice seams will match up, and they do. So we can go ahead and sew from the bottom all the way up using our 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and be sure to back stitch at the beginning and the end. So I will be back. The next thing we need to do is right where we had stopped sewing, you can go ahead and draw a line, or just know that there's an imaginary line right there, right at the very end of our stitching. And we want to go out 5/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go from the edge of your fabric, not from your stitching, but just from the edge of your fabric. So that is right here for me. So I'm just drawing a little line. So we have our horizontal and a vertical line. We'll just draw it up a little bit just for visual. Don't worry, this is a friction pen. So measure up about 1/2 inch from where your first line is, which is about right here, and draw a diagonal from the corner of this angle up to your 1/2 inch line. We are going to go ahead and cut this little angle right here, making sure my fabrics stay kind of together here. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and give it a snip just right down to that corner. You don't want to go anywhere past it. The measurement that we do out right here will determine how much more open this will be than where your skirt is. So I'll have 1/4 of an inch basically on each side of my zipper. I only really want to show the gold zipper. I don't want too much of the fabric showing. So I find this to be a good one. If you want to show a lot more, you can open it up a lot bigger by making this angle go out a little bit more. Let's go ahead and head over to the ironing board, and we're going to press the center back seam open, and then we are going to press this each side where the zipper will be placed open the 5/8 of an inch where our cut line is. We're going to go ahead and press this whole side open like that, and we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we have our seams pressed open. We need to install the zipper. We're going to install the zipper from the bottom first. To do this, we need to put our dress right sides out. So let me go ahead and flip this around. Okay, so now you can kind of see where we pressed and the opening for our zipper. If you hold it like that, you can kind of see that's where our opening will be, right there. And when we pressed our center back seam open, you'll see these two little pointy pieces of fabric here. We need to keep those. That is what we are sewing to the bottom of our zipper. So we need to take our zipper and put it right sides together with your fabric. And I'm going to bring this up. And center your zipper stop right along this seam and just right below where our stitching had stopped. And this is why you need your back stitch there, because you don't want this to start coming unraveled. And make sure it does stay centered, because if it doesn't, then your zipper will look a little off right there. So once you have that, you are going to pin these little flaps on the zipper to the fabric flaps where we cut that angle, making sure that your zipper pull is always staying centered on that seam. Okay, I'm going to flip this over so you can kind of see what we just did here. So now you can see our fabric is pinned to the zipper, and our zipper pull is nicely centered on the center back seam. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to sew across here and making sure I back stitch. You don't want to get any of these other pieces of fabric kind of caught in that stitching. You just want to stitch right below that zipper pull to secure it in place. I also like to use a smaller stitch length for this piece right here. Okay, you can see I've already gone ahead and stitched a nice small stitch and back stitch, so this bottom piece is nice and secure. We can go ahead and flip up our zipper and tuck your little tails in right there. There's a few options that you can do from this point. I'm going to show you. My favorite is by using steam-a-seam, or you can pin and top stitch, or if you're using specialty fabrics like I am and you don't want to see any stitching along your zipper line, we can do that as well. So if you want to just go ahead and start, if you're just top stitching it in place, you can go ahead and grab those and start pinning your skirt and bodice to your zipper like so. Up this side and this side, and making sure that your side seam or your bodice seams are equal. If you are using steam-a-seam or hiding your stitches like I want to do, I'm going to be using both of those methods at once. I'm going to go ahead and take my steam-a-seam, and starting right here at the very bottom, I'm going to go ahead and just start pressing this in place close to the folded edge of the fabric where we pressed it. This stuff has a little bit of stick to it already, so I can go ahead and place it on, and then I'll go to the ironing board and press it in place so it's actually adhered to the fabric. But I find this a really nice solution for installing zippers. I use steam-a-seam every single time I've installed a zipper. I find it so much easier. So once you have that in there, you can go ahead and press it and repeat with this side, and then we will come back and I'll show you what I do next. Okay, once you install your steam-a-seam, you can go ahead and peel the plastic off, or the paper off, it's not plastic. And now we can position it to press in place. I usually, like I was saying, I like to align it along one of the lines along the fabric of the zipper. There's a lot of different lines on there and textures. I just use one of those as my guide, and I usually do this at the ironing board so I can align it and then press just a little piece at a time until I get the whole thing on there. So I'll do one side and I'll do the other, making sure that my bodice seams are even. So start from the top and kind of work your way down, or from the bottom up, just as long as everything kind of lines up. Okay, I went ahead and pressed my fabric fold right here with the steam-a-seam to my zipper. You could have went ahead and top stitched around, but like I said, I wanted to have my stitching underneath the fabric holding it to the zipper. So what you'll do is once it's attached or pinned or steam-a-seam, however you want to do it, you will flip it inside out, and I use a zipper foot, and you will just sew along. Actually, I sew from the back side right here, and I sewed right along my fabric fold. That way I made sure that it was nice and even, and I sewed all the way down. You will have to move your zipper by lifting up your presser foot and moving the zipper pull around. So you'll sew a straight line on this side along your fabric fold, and same with this, and then it is securely attached to your bodice for right now. Now we need to go ahead and attach our lining. So here is our lining piece. This is already right side out, and we need to make our lining wrong side out. And I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it around so that they are now right sides together, just like so. Match up all the corners and seams. Okay, I already went ahead and sewed around my neckline and pressed it open. After you're done sewing, you need to make sure you clip all your little corners and your curves right here where the zipper goes. I always cut a little angle there. Try not to get too close to your stitching though, because you don't want it to open up or have your zipper to start fraying in that area. So, and then once you press it open, your zipper is done. If you wanted to, you could still go around and top stitch around it. Your sleeves are ready to be inset into the openings. If you did the tank top version, then all you would have left, oops, this is inside out. Sorry for the kids. Try to get this done before they got home. So if you did this tank top version, you would have already had your armholes sewn, and all you would have to do then is finish sewing this curve and down, and then clip your corners. And because I did a scoop back on this one instead of the square back, I had to clip all those little curves so it turned out nicely. So yeah, just finish sewing around your curve and down, and then flip it right sides out. And then that zipper is installed, and all you have to do after you either put in your sleeves, or if you're done with that, then you just use steam-a-seam on your bodice, or hand stitch it, or pin it, and then top stitch it. And then your bodice and zipper are done.
Thank you everyone for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We used the Hazel pattern in this video. You can also shop all of our other patterns on our website at www.thesimplelifecompany.com, where we have hundreds of downloadable PDF sewing patterns.